Welcome back, everybody. Today's topic is a very important one. All of our topics are very important, but as we go through, as we progress towards Spiritist knowledge, the topics are becoming more interesting because they're making a reference to our own lives. Class number 10 of Learn Spiritism, we'll be talking about self-knowledge. Let's get started. So this inner enlightenment that a lot of folks comment these days. Sounds like the word enlightenment is a very popular one these days. But what is it, inner enlightenment, to us Spiritists? How do we initiate this work of illumination of our own soul? As the Spirit Emmanuel says in this book, The Consoler, he gives a couple of ideas. As we would like to start this class by talking through them, a couple of them. This individual effort must start with autocontrol, with self-control, with discipline of our own actions, of our own thoughts, of our own words, of our own feelings sometimes. It's to really use the knowledge that we have acquired from other incarnations, from other souls, from all those interactions that we have daily with other folks, towards we can use that knowledge to win our own earthly battles. By doing these couple of simple steps, Emmanuel says, we're already in the right path. Evidently, those are not easy steps to go over, not easy steps to overcome, especially when we have some of the vices that are present in our own lifetime. Continuing with self-enlightenment, I'm going to bring a quote from Leon Denis, the Frenchman who followed Kardec's footsteps, and he says, "There is no possible progress without closely observing ourselves. It is necessary to watch all of our impulsive actions to know where we must direct our efforts to perfecting ourselves." Really deep phrase that Leon Denis is mentioning when it comes to really there's no progress without us observing ourselves. We can't get better if we know where we are. If we want to go to point B, we need to know where we are exactly in point A. If we don't know where we're going, all pathways would lead us, as the popular adage says. In this case, it's the other way around. If we don't know where we are, we don't know how to get to some places. And if we want to achieve progress, we need to know exactly where we are. We need to know exactly what our shortcomings are. We need to know exactly what our virtues or sort of virtues are already. Because he even mentions that true happiness in this world is in the ratio of self-forgetting or self-forgiveness. In terms of, if I forgive myself, oops, there's my trespass. I forgive myself, but I'm going to work to correct myself. I forgive myself because I'm still palatable to mistakes, to errors, to wrongdoings, because I'm human, I'm imperfect. I haven't achieved the whole pure spirit's perspective, as we mentioned in previous classes. But the moment I get to know that, oh, that's my shortcoming. Oh, that's one of my trespasses. And I think about, I need to work on this. I put myself in a place that this is still wrong with me. I want to change it. Halfway of the process is already done. I forgive myself. I don't self-obsess myself, as we mentioned in the previous class. But in differently perspective, I'm going to understand myself that I'm still palatable to mistakes, to errors, and I'm going to work on those to overcome them step by step. Today, I'm at this stage. Tomorrow, hopefully, I'll be at this stage. What do I need to do to make the next step? What do I need to do to change to make the next step? This is exactly what Leon Denis is talking about. Emmanuel also mentions that self-enlightenment or self-knowledge is man's greatest need. We all need self-enlightenment. We all need to learn more about ourselves. As the old philosopher used to say, know thyself. That was the secret, or that was the recipe for us to live happier lives. Emmanuel mentions that it is the largest need of the human being is still of self-knowledge. We don't know ourselves. And most often we want to know about somebody else's idea or knowledge, let alone our own self. When he mentions about spiritual illumination, this whole inner enlightenment, there's nothing beyond Jesus' examples in the gospel that can really lead us to a good behavior. If we go back and follow Jesus' footsteps, if we go back and learn from Jesus' talks, from Jesus' metaphors, from Jesus' parables, that is a great way, a great recipe for us to achieve inner enlightenment. the whole authority of Jesus, His whole leadership, His whole perspective of life, from the simplest things to the most complex ones. We can all apply Jesus' knowledge or the gospel itself to fix or to correct those problems and to correct, most importantly, our own behaviors later on. So his examples it's a definite and unique way for us to accomplish this inner enlightenment from our own lives, and again, be able to collaborate to other folks' examples as well. An amazing book, folks, called The Consoler by the Spirit Emmanuel. So, how to obtain self-knowledge? In the Spirit's book, question 919, St. Augustine mentions something very interesting, and I'm going to quote, "Do what I used to do myself during my life upon earth. At the end of each day, I examined my conscience. I reviewed what I had done and asked myself whether I had fallen in some duty, whether someone might have reason to complain about me. It was in this way that I succeeded in obtaining self-knowledge, in seeing what needed to be reformed in me." So, in a nutshell, St. Augustine, every time he went to bed, before going to bed, he used to lay down his head and doing his prayers, he used to think about his present or that current day. What did I do today? What are the behaviors? I'll replicate them tomorrow. What are the behaviors that I'm going to do them again tomorrow and over again? What are the behaviors that I'm not so okay with? What are the behaviors that I need to work on? And what are the behaviors that I'll definitely try not to do them again ever? So by doing that, this sort of benchmarking of behaviors, I know that this behavior is a great one, I'll do it again. This behavior, not so great, I should not do it again. And this behavior, I definitely should not do it again. By doing this every night before going to bed, he was able to correct himself. And according to Andrew Lewis, St. Augustine had a huge step into evolution, a huge step towards progress in one incarnation. So he made a lot of progress in one incarnation that most of us probably do in many incarnations. And this is the secret, this is the recipe that he taught us. How to do or how to obtain inner enlightenment day in, day out, really observing, correcting, working, trying to provide your own self some feedback, some observations on your current day, your behaviors, and how much are those are aligned with Jesus' behaviors, with Jesus' gospel. Continuing this journey of inner enlightenment, of self-knowledge, we're going to bring forward now a part from the Spirit's book where Allan Kardec gives a comment about how to achieve, what are the steps needed for us to really make some progress in self-knowledge. This teaching is a great one because it summarizes what other philosophers, even before Christ, like Socrates and Plato and so forth, Christ himself, and also the other spirits after Jesus, also spirits from the Spiritist codification, that Kardec was able to compile those messages. Great information is found in the Spirit's book, but if we could pull one excerpt on that book itself, we're going to probably use this one that really helps us summarize what we're trying to accomplish here. He says, I quote, "The moral teaching of the higher spirits may be summed up like that of Christ in the gospel, saying, 'Do to others as you would like them do unto you.' That is to say, do good to all and wrong to no one. The principle of action furnishes mankind with a rule of conduct of universal application, from the smallest to the greatest matters." Word by word. This is what Allan Kardec comments in the Spirit's book. So what he's trying to say is, we need to do to others what we wish others would do unto us. Great rule of thumb. In other words, every time we are in doubt, should I do this? Should I not do that? The question is very simple. If that so-and-so person was doing the same to me, let's put ourselves in that person's shoes. Let's remove ourselves from the situation, and let's try to think under those person's head. What would it be if I did that to that person? And by doing this self-reflection, this reverse psychology of action, we'll be able to understand, this is something I could do. Maybe I should reward the way I'm going to put this, because that person may not understand from my own point of view. And he continues that we should do good to everybody, and we should do wrong to nobody. By following these footsteps, by following this rule, we'll be able to achieve self-enlightenment. We'll be able to understand more about ourselves and to really work towards our own progress. In the Gospel, there's also a good paragraph that he mentions what it is to be a true Spiritist follower. We can recognize a true Spiritist by our moral transformation and by the efforts that we make in order to dominate our bad tendencies and instincts. This is a great part. He even continues saying that while ones are content with a limited horizon, others who understand that better things exist make every effort to liberate ourselves or themselves, and always manage to do this when their desire is strong and true. In other words, we got to work on our bad tendencies. We got to desire more. We all deserve more. We all deserve better. It's up to us to make that change. It's up to us to make that first step. And by making that first step, as you also learn from Spiritism, we are never alone. We have good spirits, as Andrea Lewis used to say. Every time we decide to tackle a new endeavor, a positive endeavor that's going to benefit somebody, a group of spirits is assigned to us. So they can help us. They can give us the motivation. They can give us the support, the proper sustainability for us to continue that task moving forward. This is what Allan Kardec talks about in the Gospel according to Spiritism, giving us the whole idea of doing good to everybody and doing wrong to nobody. But if we take this out from Kardec's ideas, let's talk about our own real life nowadays. Sometimes we don't know exactly what it is to do good. I'm trying my best, I'm not trying my best. But it's important for us to talk about vices, because most people still have a lot of vices in their lives. Or most of us, all of us, in this lifetime now, still have vices. And the first, most important ones that come to our minds are pride. We are still very proud in a lot of things that we shouldn't be. Vanity, anger, jealousy, envy, revenge, and selfishness. But if you could say that the two worst ones are definitely pride and selfishness. As Allan Kardec himself says, selfishness is the source of all vices, as charity is the source of all virtues. In other words, if you want to get rid of selfishness, if you want to eliminate selfishness from our own lives, we've got to practice more charity. We've got to do more good to others. If we want to eliminate other vices, we should do more charitable actions. We should help those who are in need. We should really extend our hands to those who are asking for help, and so forth. And he continues about virtues. These are a couple of lists of virtues that are really important for us to make a note on them. Affability, mildness, benevolence, modesty, humility, and so many other ones: forgiveness, self-denial, compassion, obedience and resignation, patience and docility, and indulgence. All those virtues, every single one of them, are going to help us really carry up or really move ourselves towards progress. There is virtue in every act of voluntary resistance to the seductive influence of evil tendencies. Every time we say no to no, I don't want to get obsessed. I don't want to be this. I don't want to follow the same footsteps of so-and-so. I want to try to remove myself from this situation. I want to resist as much as possible that thought of mine to do a wrongdoing or to really turn myself back into a vice. Every time we do that, there's a virtue behind. And remember, the highest of all virtues is that which takes the form of the widest and the most disinterested kindness. We got to be kind to people. We got to be fair. We got to be honest. We got to practice charity. By doing those things, we're going to know ourselves better. We're going to be able to help others more and therefore achieve progress quickly. With that, we hope this has been helpful for all of us to really understand more about self-knowledge, because this is a process that every single one of us must really go through in our lifetimes. With that, we'd like to thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day.